script here. First, I'd like to introduce you all to my family. My wife, Tracy, a lot of you have met her. That's right over there. My daughter, Madison, is here, and my son, Matt. They actually traveled here to be with us tonight. I owe my family everything for putting up with me and all the ups and downs that being a builder brings. It's been a very interesting journey, hasn't it?
Indeed.
Yeah. I'd like to also thank all of you for being here. I'd like to especially thank our sponsors, our presenting sponsors, Ferguson and Apollo Supply, along with House of Lights, Pella Windows, First Meridian Title, and of course Sherwin-Williams, along with supporting sponsors Menor Lumber, Cleveland Lighting, Mott Services, National Design Mart, North Star Builders, Sims Loman, and my friends at Studio 76 Kitchens and Baths. I'd also like to thank all of our past presidents for their service and for their significant and ongoing contributions to our association. Events we experience as children often shape the trajectory of our lives. In my own case, it was an addition built onto our house when I was a kid that sparked my interest in building things. It was the act of crafting drawings and then seeing those designs brought to life by the construction team that really caught my attention. That project was a bold early 70s version of what would become modern architecture in the 80s. Huge windows, exposed beams, stained plank ceilings, and T111 siding. Inside, the space was inspiring with areas for plants and flowers, lots of natural light, big walls for artwork. Of course, along with that bold design came the other things that come with modern architecture in the 80s, leaky windows, peeling siding, and high maintenance costs. This is our industry in a nutshell. We undertake bold acts of creation centered on creating exciting and livable spaces, but we also have to deal with reality when those bold acts of creation are subjected to the rigors of the physical world they occupy, both inside and outside the home. A lesson we have all learned, all of us builders anyway, is water always wins. I've been involved in the HBA from before I started my own company and understood quickly the power that we had when we stuck together and acted through the HBA to get our voices heard. My first introduction was pretty utilitarian, which to be honest, most of what we do is. It had to do with the way gas meters got set. Back in those days, the gas companies wouldn't set meters unless there was an appliance in the home for them to connect. That wasn't always feasible based on the timing, and I remember meeting up with the meter installing and going from home to home with a hot plate so that he would set our meters when we needed them. We all agreed that was stupid, and working through the utilities reps that we had back then at the HBA, which I wish we had utilities reps now, which we don't, we worked out a sensible process to install lines, meter sets, and meters, which lasted about 10 years or so, until the utilities all consolidated away all the local reps and the engineers that we used to work with. Because our work changes the landscape of the areas that we work in, we are a target for groups that want no changes to ever take place, or only want certain sorts of changes to be allowed despite demographic growth in the nation that continues with or without anyone's approval. That tension between needing to build more and groups fighting to slow or stop us from building more, which is national in scope, it never ends, and it rages on today. Though the tools in that fight are actually held by the regulatory state at the federal, state, and local levels, they are most often wielded by advocacy groups that don't have the breadth of information or knowledge that we have about our own industry. Worse yet, these advocacy groups often fail or refuse to see farther than their own argument in whatever they're advocating for, and much of the time they fail to consider real practical issues or unintended consequences of the changes they're pushing to enact. This happens in all realms of the political landscape for sure, but I've seen this firsthand when it comes to our industry, the construction industry. For example, about 15 years ago, there was a push by such groups to change the model energy code that would have required all homes in Ohio be energy use rated by a certified rater. At the time, we were building about 22,000 homes in a given year in Ohio, but we had only, I think, 20 or 30 certified raters in the entire state. This new regulation would create an impossible bottleneck, which of course the advocacy groups didn't care about and maybe even wanted. The HBA and the OHBA went to work. Vince Squillis and others succeeded in bringing the situation to the attention of the governor, who at the time was Ted Strickland, who convened a group of builders, architects, and energy use advocates to formulate a fair prescriptive code so that when we reached the same energy use goals, but without the massive headache and hardship sending 22,000 plans to a few raters was going to cause. This prescriptive code is still in use today. By banding together and forcing the administrative state to hear us, advocating for the state to consider practicality and reality, our collective voices help to continue to provide Ohioans with safe, affordable, and energy-efficient homes. I offer this reminder. For all of us builders, all of our associates, our friends, our families, our employees, and their families, in 2020, when the states around us all shut down their construction industries in response to COVID, it is thanks to Vince, the OHBA, the HBAs around the state, our friends in state government, and our own reputations and involvement as an industry that Governor DeWine declared ours to be an essential business, and we were able to keep working through the lockdown. This was no accident. Vince marshaled our allies in Columbus, and together they were able to help the governor see just how important it was to Ohio that we all keep working. Unfortunately, these regulatory challenges are going to get worse in the coming few years. The current Washington administration has radical ideas that they're pressing into new regulations at a breathtaking pace. Regulations that are very misguided and impractical, have nothing to do with health, safety, or affordability, and which aren't good for our homes, for our businesses, and especially aren't good for our customers. So the need for our voice to be heard will be even greater. I read an article recently about how the time for sitting back and watching things slide out of hand is over. We've all done that. We've all been busy with other things and not wanted to make waves and not wanted to get involved and assume someone else will tackle whatever the issue is. The writer suggested, though, that the time for being passive is over, that we all need to fight back against things that we know make no sense, aren't practical, or are going to cause lasting negative changes to our country, to our state, and to our towns. The author was discussing issues that she's seeing in the political realm, but lately everything is in the political realm. She wrote that it's time for each of us to stand up for a future that we can be proud of for our kids and for their futures. She suggests that to do that, we don't need to fight a big fight, but that we all need to pick a target. Not just any target, though, but a target that we can actually hit. Now listen, I mean this metaphorically, Jason, not literally. In her case, she was thinking of local school boards and local government councils. I don't know what that target is for you. Maybe that target for you has to do with workforce development, or maybe something else. But think about what that sort of goal or target might be, and then when you're ready, go for it. We here are lucky because one way of picking a target that we can hit is to redouble our support of our industry by redoubling our support of our association, which your presence here means you're doing. Come to a few events, or a few more events, instead of blowing them off. By the way, ask Brenda or Stephanie about our upcoming bourbon tasting event, which we've been trying to get off the ground. Don't forget, we all need to support our political action committee, Build PAC. If you can't see your way to sending in a Build PAC donation or send in a bigger Build PAC donation, we can all be and all should be advocates for our industry at the local level. Wherever we go, whoever we talk to, we can do that. But to counter the pressure of those trying to wield the regulatory state as a tool or even as a weapon, we need a larger voice, and the NAHB, the OHBA, and Build PAC provides that voice. So to all you builders and suppliers, distributors, trades, and industry associates, I want to thank you all for your investment in our industry. I'd like to thank you for your involvement in your HBA and for supporting our industry by your membership. I like to say that we build the foundations for people's lives. We all build and outfit the homes that serve as the backdrop of those lives, the places families of kids will grow up, the places that will inevitably form their best memories and that will make a lasting impression on them for their whole lives. We are all creators, constructors, designers, and fabricators of handmade, one-of-a-kind products, and as recognized by Governor DeWine, we're all essential. Thank you.